shopping today and I'll go to school tomorrow. First impressions are incredibly important.
Honey, you can make a wonderful first impression.
Brenda, how could you?
He was a jerk, okay?
I've made my choice and I choose me.
North-South Connection Podcast Network listeners, welcome to 90210 So at Beverly Hills 90210 Podcast Retrospective Series. I am JT, and joining me, as always, on this wonderful journey through time is my co-host, Tim. Tim, how are you?
JT, I am awesome. Flashing back to the early 1990s. Always such a pleasure with you. And we've got quite the landmark episode we're going to get into here on 90210 So.
And to really make it mean something, Tim, I scheduled this a certain way to drop as the final podcast of 2021 on the North-South Connection Podcast Network. So we're closing out the year with this monumental installment of 90210 So. And like you said, it's a big episode. And to do so, we had to bring back one of our most knowledgeable 90210 guests that we've had so far and fans. He was with us previously in an earlier episode, back in episode 4, and he's here again. That is our good friend, Mr. Drew Wardlaw. Drew, how are you?
I'm doing good, boys. How are you?
Doing well, my friend. Excited to have you here. This is one we definitely wanted to earmark for a well-versed, well-knowledgeable 90210 fan.
Right.
One, of course, that's been here, so we don't even have to waste any time going through the origin stories. We're going to dive right into this episode. But I will just ask, like, really quick, is this one you guys, like, did it, like, when you saw it, you knew it, right? Like, that's definitely like that for you guys, too?
Yes, absolutely.
This is so awesome because this is actually the first episode I was able to catch when I started watching the show in syndication. Mm-hmm. So I picked up as the show was airing in real time, like, you know, in sort of late season 4 and carried on into season 5. At some point, and we've discussed this in previous episodes, when the show hit syndication on, like, you know, the CW, before CW, the WB and WGN and all those stations. When I started watching it regularly in syndication, I was like, oh, wow, they're going back to season 1. I had missed the first few episodes, but this was the first one I actually caught in syndication. And then every subsequent episode became appointment viewing for me. And I had no idea this was kind of a, you know, famous episode at the time that I watched it. I just, you know, it just turned out that way. It was, you know, as luck would have it, I came in at a pretty big turning point. So
yeah, it's one that's been in my mind.
Big one for the show and big one for me personally.
It's one that's been in my mind for sure too. Like when we started this, like I'd said early on, like I was not super well versed in season 1, but this is one I always have had on the radar that I knew I've been waiting for, and it's a swing point, and it's kind of a turning point for multiple characters, as we'll talk about. So, and that episode is season 1, episode 13, Slumber Party, aired January 31st, 1991. So the final episode of January 91 has a pretty big rating too, honestly, because we've rebounded a bit. We've been in the 9s. This got an 11.
Okay.
And then they kind of ebb and flow from here. So I don't know if this one was this well promoted. I actually wanted to see when the Super Bowl was that year. I don't know if like this was like a Super Bowl type thing, but they usually didn't play that late.
No, and plus, I mean, with it being on Fox, I don't think that early on.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, Fox wouldn't have done anything to try to coincide with the Super Bowl, I feel like.
The Super Bowl actually occurred on the 27th, so this was a few days later.
Okay.
So maybe just word of mouth, whatever it was. This one pops a rating, and it was well earned. So we started off with Brenda explaining that she wants a night of female bonding. Brandon calls it a childish slumber party, kind of shits on it. In comes Jim to the kitchen for a quick mug of coffee on his way out the door. He says it's a, you know, kind of slumber party, childish thing too. And that was a good quick open just to set the stage for the episode ahead. We know that Brenda's having some ladies over. She views it as more of a intellectual powwow and just kind of bonding versus a bunch of little girls having a sleepover and playing games. Brandon then goes to the Blaze office. He finds Andrea. She and finds out she's attending the Walsh House Women's Conference, as she calls it. So she'll be there as well, and he's kind of surprised that she's going. And then we get Kelly in the hallway talking to Brenda, saying like, it's not a slumber party, right? It's not a slumber party. And she rationalizes it. And Brenda says, look, it's just a bunch of girls hanging out and bonding and talking. And it's not a slumber party. We're just going to be hanging out and falling asleep. And Kelly wants guys there. She says, what if we talk for a bit and then we have the guys over? And Brenda's kind of like, that defeats the purpose. No way. And then Kelly says, well, listen, I made other plans as well. I was supposed to hang out with my friend Amanda Pacer that night. Can she come with me? And Brenda says, fine. And Kelly says, it's definitely not a slumber party, right? Because Amanda ain't going to go for that. So, Drew, did you think they did a pretty good job setting the story up for us, like right out of the gate here?
Yeah, I did, because in the first 3 scenes, the main focus of the conversation is the slumber party. And, okay, it's not really a slumber party, but they really set up that, this is something they reference multiple times, like, hey, didn't you stop doing that in junior high or something like that? So they really set the stage for, okay, this is going to be the big main focus of the show. And I think it also did a good job of kind of once again showing the difference between like Kelly and Donna and little old Brenda from Minnesota.
Right. Yeah, they're aged. We've seen it a bunch throughout this, that Kelly especially is just a different, however they're all supposed to be 16, 17, right? She's like a different 17 than Brenda is, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think the timing of this episode also serves as a very handy sort of counterpoint or response to that wild ass house party episode that the Walshes had and went so disastrously because it got taken over by these degenerate Beverly Hills kids. So we're seeing what the true version of a Walsh house party is going to look like, and it's Brenda essentially having a slumber party, which is viewed as so incredibly uncool by these kids. And you sort of get the sense that that's not exclusively a Beverly Hills thing. It's also just an older teenager thing. But Brenda's not having it. She's like, no, it's not a slumber party. It's just, girls having a fun night out kind of thing. And notably, her parents are going to be there. Like the elder Walshes are still home. There's that funny moment early on where she got to make sure that Jim is going to be tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. But, Cindy's very much a part of it, as we're going to see. And it's just kind of nice to see this in a show from the early 90s, which has the, potential of being sort of too cool for school, sending that message of, if you do things like this, then you're too childish or immature. And, Brenda is our central character here, and she's just waving all of that off and saying, no, I want to hang out with my friends and have no guys around and just have a girls' night. And I don't know, it's just very refreshing to see.
I think, sorry, really quick to that point, something about Brenda that we'll see throughout this episode is she takes all of the criticism of the slumber party and everything. She takes it very well and really in stride. Which is kind of different from her character, but it's like a really mature, good way. She just says, oh, well, this is a slumber. It's not a slumber party. It's her whatever women's bonding time. And everybody makes fun of it. And she just goes along with it and says, no, we're going to have a good time. Come on.
She's showing a lot of confidence in the concept. She knows once they're there, they're going to have a good time. She's confident in that fact. So she knows she can win them over.
Yeah, this could have easily been a peer pressure episode. And, is Brenda going to succumb to the peer pressure? And they dispense with that right away. Like, Brenda's like, I'm not having it. I'm doing what I'm doing, and you can take it or leave it, which I think is a great message to send for this show.
Well, what's not a great message is creepy ass David telling Scott that they're going to be at the they're going to this thing. So it's a throwaway. You barely even hear what he says. It's like done so quickly. Steve then shows up. He offers Brandon the night out to escape. Basically says, like, you're going to hang around with the slumber party. Like, what are they going to do? And in come Brenda and Kelly, and they kind of roast Steve. They say all Steve gets these days is cheap thrills. So
Right.
little ball busting on Steve, but him and Brandon are going to hit the town, so Brando can not be in the house with all the ladies having their conference. So we get
Yeah,
this.
and Brenda is basically throwing Brandon out. He sort
Right.
of uh, faux complains about the fact that he's getting kicked out of his own house for the night, but it's going to give him and Steve the opportunity to hit the town, so to speak. And the funny thing with David and Scott is, once again, another very similar scene to what we saw in the Walsh house party episode, where they just sort of casually overhear because they're eavesdropping in the hallways. Oh, there's a big party going down. We've got to be a part of this. And just, this is completely not the same thing, but they're still the same two horn dogs they were in that episode and want to get in on the action. So on brand for them.
Well, the slumber party begins here, and Kelly is still fretting about this idea as she gets there. And we find out Amanda Pacer's coming in her own car in case something better comes up, basically, Donna says.
That's made very specific and clear that
she's got a better offer waiting in the wings, she thinks, yes.
Yeah, so she wants to have her own car in case. We then cut over to Brandon and Steve. They go to a swanky nightclub called Floodlights.
Floodlights.
Wow, all right.
They're waiting outside, and Steve basically talks to Brandon. They talk about the characters, like, because they're obviously going to be faking their ages and how they're going to talk to women. Brandon says he's going to be a hockey player, but Steve says, no, you should be you're a student basically in a gap year, taking a year off to figure out.
Yeah, women love that, he says. Or he says like it drives them wild or something.
Mm-hmm. He's trying to find himself, so he's going to be so mysterious, I guess. But yeah, this is Steve. You get the impression this is not his first rodeo, certainly, with this club outing. I like how they're kind of going back and forth over how they're going to actually get into this club. They're underage, and Steve's like, oh, the way we're dressed, it'll be no problem at all, and kind of disses Brandon's tie, who he says, I got this in Canada, which, okay, yeah. He's Jason Priestley, noted Canadian Jason Priestley. You wonder if that's
Minnesota. It's close to the border, right?
Close to the border. They visited. Yeah, he's so very worldly. But failing that, Steve says he's going to slip the guy 20, which I thought was a great line. This episode is kind of a quip a minute. I thought there were a lot of great quotes just throughout this episode, and some of that banter between Steve and Brandon trying to get into this club was right up there.
Well, we come back to the slumber party where the girls are dancing. Andrea is dressed in like 1835 style pajamas, like like Little House on the Prairie.
I had the note, so obviously one of our categories, one of our awards is most 90s look, and I had the most 1890s look as Andrea in her whatever nightgown that was.
I don't know what's even it's definitely like Laura Ingalls, whatever her name is. And
that's a shame, because I thought she looked, for Andrea, I thought she looked quite hot in the earlier scene where she informed Brandon that she was going to be spending the night at his house. She, her hair was done up in a very non-Andrea way. She had that, I don't know, the color of this episode seemed to be tan or mustard brown, because they all, like Andrea, Kelly, and the friend Amanda, all have that same color scheme going on, very matchy. But I thought Andrea looked very good in that earlier scene, and here, yeah, she's throwing it back to Little House, which I feel like we're gonna get a reference to at the very end, also. So appropriate enough.
It's a tough look. Like, they could have just let her just be in a t-shirt and like sweatpants or something. Like, not saying she had to have like lingerie on and be sexy, but I mean, this is like way over the top for her. Just stick her in that thing. Cindy gets pulled into to dance, so they're all having a good time. They're laughing, they're going crazy, and everyone seems to be enjoying themselves, even Kelly. And in comes Amanda, who is judgy right away. She's like, stands in the doorway. You can tell she looks older too. Like, they're definitely playing it up at like she's an older version of them, just aged quicker, being in Beverly Hills. She also has like jeans on, but like a pantsuit top. Like, she had like a button-up shirt and like a jacket on,
like a vest or something on. Yeah,
it's it's a weird look. So Cindy's going to bed. Amanda wants nothing to do with any of this. She begs Kelly right away to leave to go to a frat party, and Kelly says no. She, promised Brenda she'd be here, and basically tells Amanda, like, go. Like, you don't have to stay. Like, I don't give a shit. Just go if you want to go. And she's dressed for the frat party, of course, with the jacket on. And Amanda says, no, okay, I'll stay for a couple hours, and then we're fucking out of here. So deal with it. They then go to the kitchen, and everyone's loading up on snacks. And Amanda's just judging hard. Amanda calls them all pigs, and then Brenda snorts at her, like basically, like, again, owning, like, not giving a shit.
Yeah.
And some joke. She's like, fine, yeah, I'm a fucking pig. Like, I'm going to town on this fucking ice cream and the old school Doritos bag and everything else that was.
Yeah.
Then it's
glorious.
Donna is eating like some popcorn with ice cream, I feel like, and they're all sort of grossed out, but she's super into it, and it's just one of those. I always pop for these types of moments in this show, like women supporting women type of scenes. Just because you don't get a whole lot of that, especially in these teen dramas that always wants to pit the female characters against each other and be very competitive for the sake of, having that melodrama. Here, we see a pretty united front against this bitch Amanda, who just super sucks and walks in trying to rain on everybody's parade. And they start to set up a conflict for Kelly between her loyalties. Is she going to go off with Amanda? Is she going to, dump on Brenda, or is she going to stick around for this party? And again, they kind of stick to their guns, and Kelly's like, no, I'm having fun here. Like, I don't get to do this type of thing. And you can fuck off and go to your frat party if you want to, but I'm pretty much in for the night. Sorry, bitch. Like, so I love that. It just, I was so expecting something different from just the setup of this episode, and it goes in such different places.
Yes, and immediately Donna and Kelly, they're both all in.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And Kelly.
You could tell low-key, like, they wanted something like this, but because it's Beverly Hills, this is not accepted. They could never just, like, let loose. And I think deep down, they're foreshadowing, like, Amanda kind of does too, because she wouldn't be staying here if she didn't, on some level, want to be part of this, right? Like, she would have said, well, I'm going with or without you. Like, I'm sure she's gone to frat parties without Kelly before. So it's like, if she really wanted to go, she'd be gone, right? So I think a part of her, they never say it or hint at it, but I think if you read between it all, like, a part of her wanted to wait and see and be part of it.
There's like
she's acting very shitty and above it all, but she's also staying there. So
yeah, it's like a thirst for innocence.
Right. Yep. All right. So the girls are having ice cream. They're shitting on poor Steve as usual. Poor guy's just a punching bag.
Easy target,
And then they cut to poor Steve, who fails again. He can't buy his way into the club, so he's basically, well, fuck you then, we're out of here. So him and Brandon head back to the car, and as they're starting to get ready to pull away, they see a pair of hotties eyeing them. Trina was the blonde, and I remember right here, drawing blank. Shelly is the brunette. Okay. And they're dressed very provocatively. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I thought they were going to be hookers because the way they're dressed, they walk up to the car. But they're not. So they basically are just kind of like, hey, cool that you guys left. Like, that place fucking sucks. And Steve and Brandon are like, yeah, like, fuck that place. And Trina, and then they're kind of like, what are you guys doing tonight? And Trina's like, well, you tell us, what are we doing? So they hop in the car. Trina's already horny for the car. She's like, this is awesome. I love this car. They hop in, and all four of them are piled in the front seat of the Corvette here. They're all hot and heavy. Steve's driving. Trina is like on his lap as he's driving, basically. It says she likes his stick shift.
Playing with his ear.
Yes, as he's like speeding down the fucking Hollywood Boulevard or wherever he is. Shelly's then hot for Brandon's hair. She's mussing through it on his lap. This is a quick escalation with these chicks. So they say, why don't we go back to your place? And Steve says their apartment is being earthquake proofed, so they can't go back. They got to stay out all night. So Trina says, why don't we go to the secluded park behind this old school, and we can hang out there. So what'd you guys think of the introduction of Trina and Shelly and kind of how we get to this point?
Genius. And before, as Steve and Brandon were walking away from the bouncer, Steve drops a great quote. He says, "I don't believe it. That guy won't even take my money. What's the world coming to?" But yeah, I mean, so they saw Trina and Shelly. They kind of made eyes at them as they arrived to the club, and the girls were walking in, and then they make reference to that later. So right away there was kind of some level of attraction there, or something. But too good. The scene of them all sitting in the front seat of the car together, just driving down the road, great.
Yeah. And I love that Steve's price apparently went up from $20 to like 50, 60, and the guy still didn't take his money.
Just wanted no part of it.
So he just gets rebuffed. And then, the chicks approach them. They kind of reminded me of the Gary and Wyatt's love interests from Weird Science, the movie, where they each had the blonde and the brunette, just more sexed up, obviously. And I love that Brandon is just sort of in on this Steve scheme, basically, which seems very un-Brandon, but is also welcome after a few sort of Brandon heavy episodes. It's nice to just see him along for the ride and not pushing back on whatever the plot kind of requires of these characters. So
and it's not like it's nothing like outside his moral compass, right? Like they're not drinking, they're not gambling, they're not like lying, right? They're just out
hanging out with girls.
Yeah. So like this is like right in his wheelhouse. Like they're not really doing anything too crazy that would lead to him having to like lean in and say no. Like he's like, I'm just gonna go out with my buddy and try and pick up some chicks at the club.
Steve's cover story of their apartment being earthquake proofed, I thought was some nice quick thinking on his part also.
Yep. Agreed.
I like that. I definitely, it just makes the most sense for, Beverly Hills guys cruising the town kind of thing. Like there's some legitimacy to that lie that he's telling.
So we go back to the Walsh house where they're talking about renting a movie. Donna wants to rent Pretty Woman and basically says like, I've daydreamed of quitting school and becoming a hooker so I can then go and meet Richard Gere. And Kelly's like, well, that's a fine plan, but you're not Julia Roberts. So no chance. So shoots on poor Donna. Brenda wants to talk, but Kelly's getting bored with talking. And you can see her internal struggle, Drew, like you mentioned earlier, like kind of her old life is there, but what she wants as a new life is kind of on full display. Like she's aged quickly, was a party girl, but you could tell she's like craving a normal family with a normal setup and normal friends that don't have this pressure of drinking and drugs and partying and sex and all this other stuff, right? Like she just wants to just be a kid. But you could tell it's there, but Amanda's sitting there like on her shoulder trying to bring the old Kelly out. But Kelly holds on strong. She's like still saying no. So yeah, go ahead, Drew.
Oh, well, just again, it's like you're expecting her to start scheming up a way to get out of the slumber party or something, and it just never comes. You just have that Brenda as the angel on the shoulder and Amanda as the devil on the other shoulder with Kelly, and it's cool.
Agreed.
And Amanda is another example of the show using this sort of one-off character as the heel for a single episode in lieu of villainizing one of the main characters. So I like her as the antagonist throughout all of this.
Yeah, I think that's been some of our best episodes. Like, I don't like when we have like Steve or whoever is the heel. Like, I prefer I prefer when they bring in the heel of the week and they'll eventually set up outside of the group heels that are there consistently. But for now, I like this better than them using Steve as like the bad guy within the group.
Yeah. These disposable foils have been used to pretty good effect.
And it's believable. I mean, there's a lot of kids in the school, so it's like it's not out of the realm that they would just run into like problem students that they're gonna have issues with.
Yeah, and then they'll just kind of never see him again. Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So Andrea brings out a Ouija board, and Amanda's mocking her right away. But they say, "Well, if you're so fucking tough, step up to the plate. Let's go. We're gonna do this." Andrea's driving the ship. She says she's gonna try and contact her grandmother. I guess it's a different grandmother than what she lives with.
I don't think it's the Holocaust grandmother. No.
And the grandmother spells out, "I'm here." Then the lights, like I didn't really follow this, like all of it, but I guess lights are flashing. And then they realize it's the flash from a camera because David and Scott are outside taking pictures.
Right.
But like it's I feel like they could have done without this because A, it makes them look super creepy. And B, like they don't even try and hide it. Like they're just standing.
Yeah.
They're just standing
There's
there.
a giant window.
Right. Like did they think like did they want to get caught thinking maybe they get invited in or something?
Yeah,
Like,
are they gonna right? How did this play out in their minds? It also makes it seem like it's lightning flashes and like
right.
all of a sudden it's turned into a dark and stormy night, but I guess not. It's just David and Scott with their flash photography. I don't know. It's pretty goofy.
I think what kind of makes this not work is that you only see David and Scott in those two scenes, the one at the very beginning and this one. There's no like hijinks of them formulating a plan like that. They could have like used that to like a comedic effect or something where they're laying out a map of how they're going to get there, and then like it shows them sneaking around. It just cuts to them at the window. And then they're shoot away, and that's it.
Just stand there. Even Cindy is like, catch it because she's hearing these girls scream in the living room, and it's like you'd think this would maybe be a bigger deal to Cindy if not the rest of the group, and it's just like, oh well, whatever.
Yep.
these assholes creeping on you, taking pictures. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, It felt unneeded. Like it just adds nothing. It ends up being those two little scenes, like you said. Like they could have done without it and been just fine. And it just makes them look creepy. Right. Like it wasn't needed. I know it's kind of meant to be like kind of the boys sneaking into the slumber. Like it's kind of a trope, but
sure.
This whole scene really felt like the setup to an 80s slasher movie. Like you've got the satanic panic thing with the Ouija board. You've got the perverts on the outside trying to get in. It could have really turned into, they summon a spirit that starts killing people or something.
Yeah, like this is the jump scare before they get into the real, meat of the scary horror movie that it's going to be. Yep.
Right.
All right. So basically, Andre says the board's too powerful. They're not ready for it, so we'll put it away. Amanda gets pissed. She's like, it's after midnight. And they're like, well, what happens after midnight? Turn into a pumpkin? Like, what's the problem? And she said, well, there's no point now. I'm going to the frat party because everyone's drunk and it's not going to be any fun and blah, blah, blah. So basically she's like, well, they're like, well, just go. And she's like, no, you ruined my night. I'm going to ruin yours. So she's getting vindictive now. And I don't get like why, like, what does Brenda have to prove not throwing her out? Like, send her packing. It's your house. Like, why does she feel like she's going to stay there? Because not even Kelly's really going to bat for her.
I think it's her trying to be inclusive of and like bring a woman in to, bring another woman in to join the fun and say like, look, this is fun. This is good. We're going to have bonding time.
But
together.
At this point, she's been such a bitch. Like,
yeah,
I would just be like, all right, look, like, it's my house. Get out. Like, because it's not like I could see if her goal was to impress her all along or something. Like she trying to show that she can fit in with her. Like she didn't even know who she was. So it just seems odd that she's like bending over this backwards to have her stay and be involved. Like I just would have been like, just get out. Like it's my house. There's no reason for you to be here. Like go home. Like you weren't really invited. We're not friends. Like I don't need you here. Like shitting on me and my friends. So just go. So it was just odd that like she's like Amanda basically says, I'm going to ruin your night. And they're like, okay. Like it's just an odd way to go about it.
I almost feel like this is maybe a power move by Brenda. Although again, this episode I feel like is largely female positive and doesn't pit the women against each other. There are little glimmers of that throughout, where they get a bit catty.
Right.
And I think this is Brenda saying, okay, it's my house.
Mhm.
These are my friends. I've got backup, basically, because everybody clearly wants to be here except for you. So you know what? You're a move, bitch. Just try us. Like,
Right.
and she's going to put up with it to a certain extent, but while she still feels like her friends have her back, it's like, all right, just try us, fuck you. Like, and at best, maybe you come around, maybe, you soften and kind of drop your guard and become one of the girls, because Kelly sure did. So we'll give you a chance. But if you're going to be a bitch and just show your ass throughout this entire night, we'll put up with it to a point. But, let's just see where it goes from here.
All right. Well, Amanda does say basically like, I'm gonna ruin your night by making you play skeletons in the closet, and Brenda agrees defiantly. She's like, all right, let's go then. Fuck you. Like you
Yes.
said. Like, it's like fine, yeah.
Yeah. I mean that feels like, okay, now it's a game of chicken at this point. Yeah.
And Kelly
It's
says
almost
she'll
like
go
they
first.
want to be doing truth or dare, but we're not going to be doing any dares because
Right.
nobody cares about that in a show like this.
Right. Yeah. Basically, just truth.
It's just truth or truth. Yeah. They have to call it something else.
All right. Well, Kelly agrees to go first, but first we cut over to Steve and Brandon and Shelly and Trina. They're in the abandoned parking lot. They all start making out in the car, and they're not even 6 seconds to make it out. And Trina's like, "I want to drive the car right now," and Steve's like, "Right now? Like, can we wait a few minutes?" And she's like, "No, right now." And he's like, "All right, fine." He makes everyone get out, and so Steve, Brandon, and Shelly all line up, and Trina fakes being a novice. She goes around the parking lot, kind of fucking up with the shift. And Steve's basically like, she's going to leave my transmission on the ground, like basically fucking up the whole car. But then she pulls back up to them and says, "Let's go." Shelly runs and hops in, and Steve and Brandon stand there like mouth open, and they just take off. And Steve panics, but basically says like they're coming back. Like, look, they're just going for a ride. They'll be back. And Brandon's like, yeah, fucking coming back. So this is I think a pretty classic scene. Let's wrap the whole thing here, and then you guys can give me your thoughts on the whole thing. So they wait a while, but the girls never come back. Steve's holding out hope. He's like, the sparks were real, Brandon. We can't fake this kind of stuff. Like, they were so into us. And Brandon says, like, look, buddy, like, you've been scammed, man. I'm going to the police station. And he starts to walk off, and Steve's like, I'm not going. I'm waiting here for them. So Brandon comes back, and Steve has a breakdown. He's like, how my parents going to react? What if people in school find out about this? He makes Brandon promise, like, not to say anything to anyone, that he was stupid enough to let these girls take his car. And Brandon gives the old Scout's honor, and Steve just kind of laughs, and he's like, nobody's ever given me a Scout's honor before. And Brandon says, well, basically, only good scouts get to do Scout's honor. Like, basically says, Steve, you're an asshole, and that's why you don't ever, get the Scout's honor.
Yeah.
And Steve kind of says, like, maybe I'll do that. So we have multiple turning points here for people in this episode. And just like Kelly's been showing signs of her wanting to change and be more down to earth, you can feel that here from Steve, too. Like, he knows he's been an asshole, that he lives kind of a shit life as a shitbag a lot of the time. Not a shit life, he likes his life, but he's kind of a shitbag. And like, you could tell deep down he's like kind of into Brandon because he wants to be like a good person like him, and that he can be that when he's with Brandon. And you can see like he wants to change. You could feel it in that scene. So like Kelly earlier, I think we get that from Steve here too, that it's seeping through that, he feels bad. He's just like, no one trusts him. He's a fuck up. And that's because part of it is he's a jerk, and he wants to just be a scout like Brandon.
This is his best scene so far in the show. I mean, like, as an actor, I think Ian Ziering did awesome with it. I really like whenever Steve gets serious, and this, like, he mentions his dad, which is a huge element of Steve's psyche throughout the show. Just his constant struggle to try to please his dad, and not only that, but to please the community that he's in. So it's like, man, you can't tell anybody at school. What happens if people at school find this out? Like, you start to see this developing depth that Steve has, and he becomes instantly a more complex character going forward, and you see this internal struggle where, you know, he wants to be good. Like he's it's almost like he's kind of hit rock bottom, you
Right.
know, like his going forward. So what's that going to mean? It's a great scene. And then Brandon kind of is mean to him. Like he you know, he says like, they scammed us, I'm going to the police, are you coming with me? Like he's always got to get really confrontational.
He escalates real quickly.
Real quick. But he calms down, you know. But it's a great scene, and a really huge one for Steve.
Yeah, well said, for sure. I thought this was an incredibly strong Steve scene. Ian Ziering really continues to impress me in this first season, these early goings with the character. And I enjoyed that this turned into what started as a very hijinks oriented, like Steve B plot that you thought was just going to be very disposable, kind of gets real and turns into a story about Steve's desire for acceptance and inclusion. And like Drew pointed out, it really kind of parallels what we're dealing with in the A plot here, with Kelly and some of what she's going through, and the conflict that she's presented with in the Slumber Party, versus the very even-keeled, on the level, you know, Walsh friend, basically. So good stuff here, where, you know, Steve is wanting to be, much like Kelly, wanting to be desired for himself, for his personality, for who he is, rather than simply what he has to offer. And that just immediately gets thrown in his face by this chick taking off in his car, like which is the most material possession of all things we see in this episode. You know, he just gets straight up conned, and it's like you actually end up feeling for this dude, and especially with the mentions of Rush Sanders, who is a character we're not even going to see until like the 4th or 5th season of this show. So yeah, that's a pretty big call out, I guess you could say.
As I go through this too, I realized I would not fit in this world, because I don't think I've ever played Skeletons in the Closet.
No?
I don't think I've ever done a Ouija board.
Me neither.
I've done. I had the Ouija board as one of my, maybe not the most 90s moment, but as a 90s moment, because Ouija boards, I feel like, had a weird resurgence in the early 90s, and I definitely had one, and they were just mass produced and sold by, you know, Milton Bradley or whatever. So how occult are we really talking with this stuff? But I was way into it. Yeah, I totally related to that.
You ever feel like it works?
At the time, yes, very much so. You get two people, and yeah, some weird shit. But apparently it's I don't know. It's a whole kind of psychosomatic thing where even if you don't think that you're moving it, you really are. There's a whole science behind it. So I was into the Ouija board scene, honestly. I thought that was quite charming, and you know, a bit dated today, but relatable for the time period.
I've also never driven a stick shift. So
Whoa!
Okay.
Really?
At all. Nope.
Wow.
I haven't often driven a stick shift well, but I have had the experience.
Yeah, no, my first car was an automatic, and that was it.
I learned
never did the old manual Honda Civic, huh?
Nope.
I learned on a stick shift.
Yeah.
And
probably a good experience to
Right. That's probably something I should know how to do, but. All right. Well, we'll continue on. So we have Kelly in the hot seat. We found out her middle name is Marlene, as Brenda eases in with some softball questions. Andrea steps it up. She says, "What's your first sexual experience?" And she says, "Steve. He pestered me constantly about it, and then we finally did it in my bedroom after school while his mom was being interviewed by Entertainment Tonight. They interviewed Steve after, and he had a big grin on his face after what just happened. So it's quite the tale here. She's all kind of remembering it fondly. She's all smiles, even though they all shit on Steve usually. She doesn't seem too broken up about it. But then Amanda raises the bar, and she says, 'No, tell everyone about your real first time. And Kelly's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, tell everyone about Ross Weber. So Kelly gives in. She says this godly football stud, Ross Weber. Amanda says it was before the nose job, BNJ, she calls it. Before the nose job.
Nice callback there to the pilot, really.
Right. So Kelly says basically she spent her whole, I think she was a freshman, the whole year trying to get close to him. And one night they were all at a party. They all got drunk. They went out to Mulholland. Ross took her in the woods and said he wanted to have sex and kept telling Kelly, like, I know you want it. I know you want it. And Kelly gave in. They went right there on the ground. Basically, it was quick and no blanket, basically, at all. And bad experience. Ross drove her home and never talked to her again. And Kelly's crying. And it's a very intense scene that hangs in the air for a moment. It makes the party very real. It also makes Amanda seem like a wicked bitch because she knew the story, right, as a friend and made Kelly tell it in front of everyone. I did remember this differently in my mind. And not to say
Me
this
too.
is a form of rape, but I remembered it as her being like actually fully on sexually assaulted. And again,
Yes.
this is obviously a
Same.
version of sexual assault, not justified in any way, but the way she tells it made it more like she was a willing participant. Whereas in my mind, I remembered it being more that she was like attacked and like
it was like more aggressive, right?
Right.
That's what I'm remembering too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a total similar like Mandela effect experience with this. I haven't seen this episode in, I mean, easily 20 years. And the first time I watched it, whatever age I was, very young, very much recalled it as being her recounting a sexual assault. Just from the way that she tells it and how emotional she gets, the performance by Jenny Garth, and the reality is it's a bit more nuanced than that. It's a bit more complicated. I don't know that I would even rule out this being maybe a sexual assault, and just the way that she tells it is kind of softening it a little bit in her.
Oh, it clearly is.
I mean, it is.
Yeah. That was forced. But she does make it seem like I gave in.
Right. She makes a point to say, like, he drove me to the secluded spot. All he wanted to do was have sex. And she even says, I wanted to, but then she goes on to describe this extremely unpleasant experience where it wasn't exactly non-consensual, but it was far from romantic. And at some point, maybe this turned into something she didn't want. And she doesn't really get into that aspect of it, but it's maybe sort of unspoken. And the way that she emphasizes, he didn't even bring a blanket, that's what it kind of leaves you hanging on. And it's a very impactful statement for such a kind of simple, inconsiderate oversight, right? That makes you go, there's really probably more to this. And it just kind of made me respect this episode and the writing and the show so much for not turning this into a very overt, oh, he raped me kind of thing, but kind of, I think, a more realistic portrayal of what a lot of people's, a lot of women's formative sexual experiences really are, unfortunately. So it, in some ways, while it was not what I remembered exactly, it was in some ways more powerful. And holy shit, Jenny Garth here, right?
Great.
I think a lot of people rightly remember this as a breakout moment for her as a character and as a performer. I would argue probably the Jackie episode was, maybe earlier in that, timeline, but still, this is an incredibly strong stuff from the show and the character and the writing and the actress. All just wow, really blew me away. And kind of Kelly stealing the show here, being in the hot seat first up. who can really follow this, right? You almost wish they had maybe saved this for a little bit later in the episode, but I see why they presented it the way that they did.
Right.
Yeah, this was great. I mean, this it mirrors, like we talked about. This mirrors Steve's experience, but this scene informs essentially like almost every relationship that Kelly has. So many interactions with men that she has going forward, and I mean, Jenny Garth was. This is pretty. I mean, it was. You're totally transfixed on the scene, and like Tim mentioned, the nuance of this, where if you listen to the words of what she's saying, it could lead you, if you were just reading a script or something, it could lead you to believe maybe something different happened. But the tone in her voice, the way she's crying, the gravity that it's given, it really implies that there's something else going on. And that's really, really impressive for like a nighttime soap opera, essentially.
And it gives you more insight as to why she's escalated her teenage years the way they have. Like, she's got repressed memories, like this first sexual experience, and then her mom is a drunk and a drug addict that she's had to take care of. So you can see why she's acted out the way she has and grown up the way she has. It is craving to be more, down to earth.
Yeah, and that's so realistic and informed and accurate. It's
She missed out on this age, right? Of like, whatever, 13 to 16, right? It's like that's what she's missing, and she's trying to get it back. So I guess she just spends
a lot of those earlier. Yeah, it reframes a lot of those earlier scenes, especially where she's having those conversations with Brenda about sex and kind of her attitudes and how she feels about it, and how Kelly seems so much more worldly. It's not just that, well, she's more experienced, she's this kind of party girl character. It's that it's all kind of flowing through this experience, which we didn't know about at the time. And now it just sort of presents all of that earlier material in a much different light. So this is a huge scene, really.
All right. Well, we cut from there to go to Steve and Brandon at the police station. The policeman trolls them basically about what went down. He's like, so you gave them the keys. They got in the car. So he's walking through and he says, there's nothing we can do. It's car borrowing, not stealing. And until 48 hours not returned, we can't help you. It's not stolen until that point. So they're SOL. Steve's melting down. And he basically realized he fucked up. Gave these chicks the keys and they took off. We go back to the Walsh house where Andrea is now in the hot seat. And the first thing Amanda asked her is, why do you pronounce your name Andrea instead of Andrea?
Hysterical.
And she basically says, I want to be different. Like, why is it a big deal? There's a lot of Andreas out there and I want to stand out. But Kelly gets a dig in, and this actually annoyed me a little bit. And I guess part of it was her lashing out, maybe without realizing it. But like, she just went through this and now she's shitting on poor Andrea. As far as she goes, well, it is pretentious to call yourself Andrea instead of Andrea.
That's why I must think like maybe Andrea should have been up first. Maybe we build up to the big Kelly reveal, but I don't know. It doesn't sink the scene by any means, but yeah, I thought it was a little bit off to have Kelly shitting on Andrea in this.
Yeah, I guess I just took it more as like she was not lashing out, but that she was just angry, right, and just being a bitch because she was.
Yeah, she's very emotionally charged after probably what she's just bared her soul, and it's like, okay, the next person up is why do you call yourself Andrea? Are you kidding me? Like, I just confessed like this awful story, and this is we're still playing pick up sticks here. Like, come on.
Well, it does escalate pretty quickly. So Amanda basically says, "Are you a virgin?" And she admits it. Like, she doesn't hide it. Yes, I've not. I've not. Well, first she tries to be like, "That's personal. I'm not going to answer that." And then she's like, "Yeah."
Again, Kelly just described in so many details a sexual assault.
Well, it's like Andrea's panicking. I don't think she realized all of a sudden what she was walking into, and now here she is. So Kelly says, if you could sleep with anyone in school, who would it be? And she kind of stammers, and she says, Hans Fleshman. And they say, are you serious? Like, not Brandon? And she's like, no, not Brandon. We're just friends. I told you we're just friends. And, like, nobody believes her. And Amanda says, like, look, I see you puppy dogging with Brandon, like hanging on every word he says in the hallway. The whole school knows you're in love with Brandon. And Kelly again goes in on her and is like, yep, it's true. We all know you love Brandon. And Andrea admits it. So tough night for Andrea, who looks just like really shook. And she's like, yeah, fine. That's Brandon. I want to bang Brandon.
I was shocked. I was shocked that she confessed, that she revealed this, because I didn't remember that at all. And for the characters to see what we see as the viewers was also quite rewarding. Even though they're being, a bit catty here, but I mean, I guess that's skeletons in the closet. That's how the game is played. But to directly call her out in that way, and they press her, which I think is maybe a bit unkind, but she does relent and says it, and it's like, wow. I don't remember that being so overt again here from my original viewing of this episode.
I didn't know that we ever got her outright admitting that she loved Brandon. I didn't remember that ever happening, but yeah.
Nope.
I know there's things that happen in the future, but I didn't remember that specifically.
Yeah.
All right, so that's out of the bag. We go back to the police station. Brandon's about to call Cindy because Steve says, I can't call my mom. She'll hit me if I call her. But the cop comes in and says, hey, we found 2 chicks. Is your license plate? I ate a Ferrari. Steve says yes, and they find out that they caught them driving, speeding basically, and that the car wasn't there. So they're coming in, and Steve's all relieved because the night's been saved. He doesn't have to call his mom or Cindy. We cut back to the Walsh house where Donna's in the hot seat now and has nothing to say. Basically, she's like, I've never done anything wrong.
Typical Donna.
Yeah, I mean, Amanda calls her like a boring zero. And Donna's like, well, whatever. I haven't done anything. And Brenda defends her. Brenda steps up again and gets in Andrea's face and says, look, it's okay, Donna, like not to have done anything wrong. And Donna is kind of finishes our trifecta of growth. Like, we've had Kelly so far, we've had Steve, and now we have Donna. Like, this is the first time we've had more than like a line of dialogue from her where she feels like she's more part of the group than just like a tag along to Kelly. And she's actually going to be a character going forward versus just like kind of a half character. So again, I thought this is like another big step in this evolution of these non-Walsh characters on the show.
And at the same time, it does feel like a bit of a commentary on the character where even I went back and looked who actually wrote this episode because I was so impressed by it. And it was a Darren Star special who also did the Jackie Taylor episode. So props for D Star here. Again, kind of saying like, we don't really know who this character is yet. We haven't figured her out. She's kind of a nothing. And we're going to acknowledge that within the universe of the show. Here it is. And that will change going forward, but we're going to go ahead and just put it out there on the table. Just like this is a very cards on the table type of episode.
Yeah.
So I loved it for that.
So we go back to the police station. Trina and Shelly get dragged in, and they're pretending they came back. Like, we went back for you. You guys were gone. They're putting on the act for sure here. Like, we just got lost. We didn't know where we were. We were worried. You were waiting for us. Brandon ain't having any of it. But they're turning on the charm, and Steve falls for it again. Brandon's onto it, but then Steve makes his face like I thought he was going to troll them back.
Yes.
But he doesn't. It's like he basically says, like, all right, yeah, Trina, you're going to make it up to me. And he says, we'll let you go. And the cop lets him go. But no, not really, because she has a warrant for an outstanding parking ticket. So he can't just let him go. He shows $150, and Trina says, I'm broke. So Steve says, do you take Visa? Just what a fucking mark. Just get played again. So I thought this was interesting that I really thought they were going to play it up like Steve the Scout is onto it now and is going to change his ways. And he gives that look like, trust me, but then he just falls right back for it again. So it was weird.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought we were going to get like this little mini Steve redemption story where, you know what, he's going to get him back. But yeah, I felt the same way. It was played really strangely.
Okay, well, I read this as Steve taking it as they've got the car back, they've got the perpetrators. He's thinking, oh, the ball's in my court now. Like, am I going to press charges or am I not? You know, he's going to toy with them a little bit. And then that's taken away from him, snatched right back by the police, who says, well, it really doesn't matter because we've got these outstanding warrants. Right. So whatever ideas, whatever plans he had were just immediately dashed. And now he is, once again, the one getting played. And it's like, well, what can I really do? Like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll pay your outstanding, warrant, your tickets, whatever. It's like he's trying to save face, but he knows that he's been had a second time, and he can't really lose his composure and walk away, because it's like 1 minute ago he thought everything was really in his favor, and now he's like, fuck, they got over on me again. So he's just trying to keep it cool.
Well, also trying to keep cool is Brenda in the hot seat back at the Walsh house, and just a whole lot of wholesome nonsense. Talks about whatever, they went skinny dipping one time, like whatever the fuck it is. Just, and Minnesota, Amanda's like, oh God, like, come on. So Brenda basically calls her a bitch. She's like, shut up. And says, like, stop being such a cunt. Brenda then tells a story about her friend Marjorie Miller in Minneapolis. And one night she kissed her boyfriend, and Marjorie heard about it. They had a big fight, and Marjorie said, Brenda, why did you do it? And Brenda admits that, she did it to break them up because she wanted to be with the boyfriend. Brenda said they were never friends again, as much as close as they were before. And that leads to Kelly making a revelation that after Brenda started dating Dylan, she tried to make a move on him, because Dylan had been flirting with her for a year before Brenda even moved there. And Brenda immediately fucking loses it. After staying cool all night, she's like, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe you did that. And Kelly just like unloads as well, and says that Brenda's become unbearable since dating Dylan. Like, just this awful stuck up side of her. And Brenda says, I'm stuck up, like you and Don. Well, Donna says Brenda's stuck up, and Brenda says, I'm stuck up, like you guys are fucking stuck up. And then Andrea snaps. She says, I came here tonight to make new friends and to get closer, and all you ever want to do is gossip. And they all decide to start to leave. But before they do, Brenda says, well, wait a minute. Amanda, you were never in the circle as part of the game. And Amanda stammers, and she's like, no, well, whatever. The game's over. I'm out of here. And, Brenda says, well, listen, Kelly, you were brave to tell us about Ross. We're glad you did. And Kelly says, I'm actually glad you're not perfect, Brenda. That you have a dark side as well, and they make up. And then in one of the most heavy-handed foreshadowing moments, and whether they meant it or not, Kelly says, I will never try and steal Dylan from you at all.
Yep.
And, like, we'll never let, a guy come between us, whatever. So just like a major hang in the air. Okay. I'm assuming they had in mind eventually to maybe have Kelly get in the way of this, right? Maybe not the way it does happen. Maybe their plan was that she'd be a heel and steal, like, whatever the reasoning is they had planned. It's clear there's something there, because they make a clear point twice for Brenda to say, like, I've had this happen before and I would never do it again, type of thing. And then Kelly saying, I would never try and steal Dylan from you. So, yeah.
Well, to have the discipline, if in fact, that's true, to have the discipline to set it up and then not pay that off until like another 2 years, basically. I guess about a year.
Season 3
is incredible. Well, I guess technically they get together at the start of season 3, right?
Season 2 is the beach.
Yeah.
Is it the beach? They go to Paris?
end of season. Beginning of season 3 is the Paris stuff, right?
So they get together pretty much right away. Yeah.
Yeah, but that whole season 2 is all very Dylan Brenda, as I recall.
Right. That's Beach Club summer season.
So, I mean, this is a ways off if they are truly seeding that. Again, just something else I had no recollection of playing any part in this episode. Like even Kelly's admission that, you know, I've always liked Dylan. Seems very consistent with subsequent revelations and developments. So yeah, big stuff here. And I love the unraveling, how they all kind of start to turn on each other. It also gives kind of a rationale for why Brenda is being so cavalier in host party. Like they think it's because, you know, she's gotten so stuck up her own ass. Bit of truth to that. And I also felt very bad for Andre here, who genuinely just wanted to have a nice night with.
She doesn't have a lot of girlfriends at all, so this
she doesn't really have this, and it's kind of blown up in her face. But then they immediately like all just turn it around on this bitch Amanda, who has like been such the perpetrator.
Well, she's stewing, and they all like apologize and
needling them throughout this entire episode, and it's just like, fuck her, like they just throw her on the fire basically, and it turns into a bonding experience. Like
we're just gonna hug it out. We didn't mean it. Like we just get angry, whatever. Fuck off.
Yeah, burn her at the stake, not us, not each other. You know. So yeah, they turn on her, but kind of well deserved. And we'll see how things end up. But I just liked the range of emotions we went through in this very quick scene.
And you know what? Kind of at the end of this, you get the feeling that Andrea really has become one of the group now.
Yeah.
So they're all apologizing. Amanda stews and leaves. But Donna, they realize that Amanda forgot her purse. And Donna goes, we should throw it at her. So she goes to get the purse and drops it. And a ton of pills come flying out of it.
A comedic amount of pills come out of it.
It's absurd. And I mean, was the cover not on? Like they all fell out pretty easily. So Amanda returns to get her purse. She realized she forgot it. And we find out that they're diet pills. And Kelly grills her immediately. She's like, are you eating? My mom used to use these, and she's all fucked up as a result. And Amanda admits it. The diet pills, she has a problem. She was fat before and not pretty. She went on a hardcore diet and got back on track, and she swore she would never be fat again. And these pills are basically what keep her there. And Kelly basically says, like, you're being a fucking bitch on these pills, and this isn't how you used to be. And Amanda breaks down. She says, like, you know, it's not easy. Like, you're hot. Like, some of us have to work to be as hot as you are, basically. And these pills are her way to do it. And Kelly says, you need to forget the pills and be yourself. Like, relax. Enjoy your life. Stop starving yourself, taking these pills and being fucking miserable. Amanda starts to leave, but Brenda begs her to stay so they can help her. And Amanda, again, kind of like we talked about, finally admits that, yes, she does want to be part of this. And she tells Donna to bring her the cookies and wants to pig out. And she's all smiles now and was going to relax. So she kind of lets the guard down and feels like she's been wanting to do it all night and finally got the ability to do so by coming clean on her issues.
A little bit of an easy and pat resolution here, but I also think it's necessary. Yeah, but also sort of necessary because I think it's so rare that we see things like this because, you know, there is so much pressure, especially in the early 90s, so much pressure on young girls to be thin at all costs and not eat. And I don't know, the conversation that they have, I thought there were kind of some unintentionally funny lines, but were probably also pretty relatable to, you know, young teenage. I've never been a young teenage girl, but I'm just guessing in 1991, there's some girls who went through this and were feeling this way, even if they weren't choking down, diet pills, especially when it's effectively speed in the early 90s, like the fen or whatever type stuff that just makes your heart explode. I kind of think that needed to be a message to be put out into the world, especially from a show like this. And hearing that it popped a pretty big rating makes me feel all the better for that. But yeah, there were some good lines throughout this whole exchange, even with it being a bit contrived as the sort of climax to the whole Amanda issue of this episode.
It was such a heavy episode too that I think it was nice to have like kind of a happy ending that was wrapped up really quickly, kind of send the people home happy.
Right.
Yeah, I just wonder if there could have been one more. It is that her becoming happy happens quick.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe she was on the verge. Like, I mean, that's the vibe you get. Like, she didn't need much of a nudge because she was already there. She just needed someone to embrace her, right, and bring it out. So maybe that's why she found herself hanging around this house as long as she did on this night.
I mean, alternatively, I guess they could have just had her storm out and be like, "Fuck you guys." Get it, and just have the message be, well, you really can't save everyone, but oh well, tough shit. We've got each other. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but I'm fine with all the girls basically coming together and being like, you know what, let's junk out. Fuck guys, fuck being fat, fuck everything. Let's have a fun night,
All right, so we go back outside the police station. Trina gives Steve her number, says she can hang out tomorrow. And as she walks away, Steve looks at the paper that she wrote it on, and it's a coupon for a manicure at Trina's nail shop. So Trina apparently is a esthetician or whatever, and is going to give a manicure to Steve if he wants one. And Brandon says, face it, buddy, we got scammed. But you know what? We had a blast, and it's better than the Slumber Party. So they kind of all smiles at the end, saying, hey, you live, you learn, and we had a good time doing it.
And he gives it to Brandon and says, hey, give this to Brenda or something.
Right.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of nice to see Steve just take this in stride. Again, knowing pretty much he's getting played, but keeping his cool and just going along with it. He got his car back, so the night has basically been salvaged.
Yeah, he lost $150 basically on the parole. So that was about it to pay off the ticket.
And he keeps his reputation overall,
Yes, which is all he cares about, really.
Exactly.
And Brandon says it like they have a story, right? Sometimes those are the nights you just look back on and say, yeah, it was a shit show, but at the end of the day, it's a story that we could tell 10 years.
Totally.
All right, so they're done. Brandon returns home, and the girls are all passed out in the living room, but Brenda wakes up. She hears them. And Brandon says most guys would die to be in this room right now. And they recap the night of what happened, and then he walks away, and the girls all giggle and say, good night, John Boy, which is the Little House of the Prairie reference.
Or the Waltons, right?
Oh, the Waltons.
I was going to say, was that Waltons or Little House?
Yeah, it was Waltons, John Boy.
Yeah, thank you.
So John Boy heads off to bed, and we wrap up the nights. And I thought, again, a great episode. More problem of the week type stuff. We hit the topics on the diet pills and the sexual assaults and everything else. But it was a big step up for Donna, for Steve, for Kelly, all wanting to show signs of growth. Also, we had the big foreshadowing from Brenda and Kelly with the Amanda reckoning. Again, I thought it happened a little fast. It could have used a little more earning, but they only had so much time to do it. Yeah. So it's fine. But this is really, like we said, like a pretty iconic, memorable episode.
I absolutely loved it. I love this episode so much. I think this should be required viewing in public schools. Just in family life or whatever, just play this fucking episode. I think it's something that people that age just need to see. There's probably been better examples of this done over the years and more contemporary shows that I wouldn't know anything about because I'm an aged homosexual, but that doesn't matter. I think this episode was great and should be seen by all people. Much, much better than even my memory, which was quite strong in holding this episode in very high esteem. Yeah, it's a big one for sure for this series. So I see myself going very high on our episode grades.
All right, well, let's get into our awards then. Drew, what did you have for your best scene?
Best scene, I chose Steve and Brandon as the car gets stolen and Steve getting serious.
Yeah, that's what I had too. Trina and Shelly stealing the car.
I went with Kelly's confession and breakdown after she was pressed on what her real first time, so to speak, was like. Just really impactful stuff there.
All right, most important scene. That's where I went with. I went this. I kind of. It's a little cheap. I went with skeletons in the closet. It's kind of all one big scene. But for when the minute Kelly gets in that hot seat through Brenda telling her story, like that's all the most super important stuff in this whole episode.
Well, I went with again, most important to me also tends to mean most biggest foreshadowing, and that was Kelly admitting to Brenda that she tried to get with Dylan right after they started dating, and that she had been into Dylan for a long time. He'd been flirting with her, and just how jealous she felt. I thought that was huge.
All right, most 90s look. I went Brandon's tan vest over the green shirt in the beginning, and then Trina's outfit as well, the garter belt with the bra and the jacket. Like that felt very 90s to me. A little ahead of her time too. Like that felt more mid 90s, honestly. But yeah.
I think Amanda had a pretty good one too. I think that was her trying to look like a 90s college girl.
Right. Yes, the jacket
with the suit jacket thing.
Yeah. I had Amanda, who kind of combines a lot of looks that we've seen from our main characters in this show, into just a super 1991 package.
And the red hair too. Red hair, very big in the 90s.
Yes.
A lot of Jerry Seinfeld love interests had red hair.
All right, most 90s. I had a few. Skeletons in the closets, Ouija board, and the old Doritos bag really jumped out. It was very 90s.
Yeah, the junk food pig out scene was mine.
I went with the Ouija board. Again, probably more of a personal remembrance, but I think of that as being a big early 90s thing. Like, I mean, it was later in the 90s for me, but 1991, close enough.
David and Scott snooping around too. It's pretty 90s.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
All right, best lesson learned. I went with always be ready if you're going to play skeletons in the closet. Like, no way. They all were shell shocked playing that game.
Yeah. I don't know that there's really a lesson, so to speak, in this episode, other than don't be such a stuck-up asshole. Like, actually be willing to try new things and new experiences, even if you think it might be lame, for the purposes of just inclusion. Just try to make friends with new and different people.
I think you could say people's behavior is informed by their past.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, best hookup. I give this one to Brandon and Shelly because Shelly, to me, was a little less of the perpetrator in the whole car scheme. And they kind of had a little bit of a hotter hookup with the mussing of the hair and the sitting on the lap. And then they make out while Trina's trying to convince Steve to drive the car. So I thought Brando made out a little bit better on this night.
I think so. They were really gazing into each other's eyes too in that front seat.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you had asked Shelly, she might have chosen him over Trina. Like, I think she had to think about it. I'll give her that. I'll say that much. I think she at least thought about it before she got in that car.
They definitely had a full-on make-out in ways that Steve and the other one did not. So yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, best quotes. I got a few. You're gonna make us all look like pigs, Kelly. You said it, I didn't. That was Amanda. Things like this don't happen to good scouts. That was Brandon to Steve. BNJ before nose job. That was Amanda to Kelly. Call your mom. At least she won't hit me. That was Steve. Steve saying, "Do you take Visa?" was one of my favorite lines of the whole episode. And then "Good night, John Boy" from everyone, all the girls.
Yeah, those are all great. I had those plus just a few gems from Amanda. Um, one being, why does everyone call you Andrea? Are you British or something? And then the tour de force, the immortal. I used to be fat, now I'm thin, now I'm a bitch. Bye.
I had another Amanda one. I'm not going to parade around in some strange girl's nightgown. Because Brenda said, "Hey, I've got extra nightgowns or something if you need." She also at one point called them all. I think she called them dupes.
Yes.
She said had a lot of little good ones, but
you're all a bunch of dupes.
Yeah.
Dupes. All right, final grade, Drew. What do you got out of 10?
I got an 8.5 out of 10.
Tim? I'm sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it was enjoyable. Both the A plot and the B plot were both really good. There was both like character progression in both of them, and you had really big step forwards for, I mean, my two favorite characters, Steve and Kelly, Andrea too, and Donna. And it's iconic, a lot of iconic stuff.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going 9 out of 10. I think it's right up there with the best episodes we've seen from this very surprising season 1. The only thing that honestly holds it back from a 10 is doesn't, again, as other very strong but otherwise lacking episodes do, it doesn't make the best use of its full ensemble. You know, we don't get Dylan here. I think he's probably our only real major exclusion. I mean, we don't get a ton of David and Scott, but at least they're there. So maybe giving some Dylan here, and this could be a 10.
I think Dylan could have been with Steve and Brandon.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, palling around. Yeah.
So I went 9 out of 10 as well. It's a great episode. It lived up to its hype. It's iconic. It's got some awesome performances. It informs a lot of what's to come, which is one of the biggest parts of this episode. And sure, we're looking at that with knowing kind of some foresight as what's to come, but it really does foreshadow and give us a lot of depth. It's only my second 9. The other previous 9 was the AIDS episode, which we really enjoyed, Tim. And then it's we tie it for second behind my 110, which is the Jackie tour de force. So, but I mean, look, if you would have said coming in to me, out of the first 13 episodes, you're going to have 2 9s and a 10, I would have never believed it at all. I would have said, no way. Like, we're not getting that level till later.
Yeah, it's on that level with the Jackie episode, the AIDS, I call it the AIDS episode, even it's not really what it's about, and the house party episode as well. Just awesome stuff. Just really, those are all kind of neck and neck for me. I would say this, whatever other 9s I may have given throughout this first season, this is, I would say, my highest 9. I'll put it that way, if that makes sense.
All right.
I'm rewatching it kind of with you guys, but I'm really enjoying the first season a lot more than I have in the past, and everything is fully formed way earlier than I remembered too.
Yeah, I would have never guessed season 1 was this developed. I would have thought for sure it was just more. I always thought the beach season was where they really came into their own. So
yeah,
it's definitely been enjoyable. Is very much. All right, let's hit our the music that we did not hear tonight was "Streets in Paradise" by Vixen. That's when Brandon and Steve were in the car with the girls, and then the song that Cindy and the girls danced to at the party. I would not have guessed. I would have thought it was more modern, but it was "Moni Moni" by Tommy James and the Shondells.
Yeah, they look a bit more like they have a bit more rhythm to the original song than whatever they replace it with, which is quite generic.
All right, our characters debuted on this episode were Amanda Pacer, Trina Shelly, and I put Ross Weber in there because I feel like while we didn't meet him, he really informed a big part of what we learned from Kelly, and he feels like he's a character of the show. I did not include Hans Fleischman.
I was going to say, did you include Hans Fleischer?
No, or no, what was her name? Brenda's friend, Marjorie Miller. I did not include her either.
Ah, okay.
I didn't feel like they didn't feel as. Ross felt way more like meaningful to the episode. He felt like an actual character to me.
Sure, yep.
All right, relationships. I had Kelly and Amanda, Brandon and Shelly, and Steve and Trina.
Yep.
And then for places and things, I just added floodlights. I don't think I missed anything else there. Unless we want to put the abandoned parking lot.
The abandoned parking lot.
I guess I'll put that.
Police station,
Actually,
I guess we saw when.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Well,
Yeah.
Is it the same police station where Brandon
It's
spent the
gotta be,
night
right?
in the drunk tank? Yeah, it's got to be.
Okay, so we'll count that. All right, let's do our character ranks here before we get out. So at the bottom, we're going to have Jackie and Dylan, sadly, who's going to get a 0 tonight, which sucks for him. But
Nat.
Yep, and Nat. So let's move
Too bad.
Geo down. All right, so they're all going to get 0s. Poor Dylan. He's never going to get that top spot with all these misses. Okay.
He'll get there.
So I think I'm confident having Scott at the bottom here.
Yes.
I would put Jim at the bottom just because he literally has one scene and out.
But I still think he was better than Scott.
Yeah, he was good. He was good in that scene.
Y'all just hate Scott.
He just doesn't do anything. He just like goes along with this stupid plan.
He's a dink.
Yeah.
I would put Scott just below David, just because I didn't think Scott was any worse than David in this episode.
All right. Fine. All right, so we'll do Jim, then Scott, then David. Is that fine?
Yes. Yes, please. Thank you for indulging me.
Then Cindy?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Then Donna, which I feel bad because I feel like she should be higher, but there's no one to put below her. I mean above, like, yeah. Everyone else has to be above her at this point.
That's a shame. Yeah.
It's her best
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And then I guess Andrea, I think.
Well,
Kelly, so can we agree Kelly's going to be number 1?
yes.
Yeah. And Brenda's probably number 2.
Right.
Yeah, Brenda did do a lot.
So then do you have Andrea above Steve or Brandon? I guess is the question.
I could argue, I could see Andrea being above Brandon, not above Steve. I thought Steve was awesome here. I could see Andrea being above Brandon.
I can too. I'm good. I like the separation between Steve and Brandon, and Slot and Andre between them. Not that it was a bad Brandon episode, but he was certainly. Yeah, he was just more of an accessory to Steve.
Right.
Which is fine.
Okay. All right. So that gives us Jackie Taylor, Dylan McKay, Nat Basuccio, all with 0s. Jim Walsh with 4, Scott with 5, David with 6, Cindy 7, Donna, Andrea, Brandon, Steve, Brenda, Kelly. Kelly's number 1. All right. I'm going to do the overall rankings, but Tim, why don't you tell us what's going on with the North-South connection? Anything else you want to plug?
Sure. So, I mean, listen, if you're not already subscribed to this podcast network, it is the North-South Connection podcast, where we have 90210, which you're listening to right now. A lot of other great variety of content here, and sort of more stat-oriented stuff, if you're into that kind of thing. If you're a pro wrestling fan, for sure. A good variety of just original shows here on North-South Connection. This, of course, is part of the quad of pods that are associated with Place to Be Nation that I have some presence with as well, those including the Place to Be Nation Pop experience. So check out Place to Be Nation Pop, where I am part of a panel known as Pop Goes to the Couch, a weekly podcast where we are doing episodic reviews of Hawkeye on Disney Plus. It's probably wrapped up now at the time that you're listening to this show, so you can hear all of our takes on the Disney Plus series Hawkeye through episode 6. But there's going to be continuing coverage on Pop Goes to the Couch. We're going to do, in some form or fashion, we will be covering Cobra Kai, which is starting its fourth season. Hard to believe. Yeah, at the end of the year, New Year's Eve. God, it'll be hard not to binge watch that whole season on New Year's.
Right? That night, just take the night. Yeah,
I know. We might do it. That's almost what season 3 looked like. But really, really looking forward to getting back to that, and also more Star Wars content coming your way with book of Boba Fett starting December 29th here again on Disney Plus. Really awesome. Do check out as well the Place to Be Nation wrestling podcast feed, where I have a pair of shows, those known as PTB NXT and Talkin' WCW. Both of those are monthly podcasts you will find installments of in late December for PTB NXT, and returning in January, Talkin' WCW. Finally, throw some love to our good friend Jennifer Smith, who curates the Jenny Position. So subscribe as well to the Jenny Position. A lot of great pop culture stuff happening over there. I do a show with Jenny known as Talkin' Pop, kind of a variety show, kind of an interview show. It's whatever it wants to be. And sometimes, occasionally, irregularly, the Journey Through Infinity with this man, JT Rosero, myself, Jenny Smith, and Scott Criscolo, going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the films, retrospectives on all of the movies that Marvel has produced to date. We are up through, coming up on Black Panther. Haven't recorded that yet, but we'll try to get back to that in the year ahead, hopefully. You can follow me on Twitter as well. I am at Cyke68, CYKE68 on Twitter. That does it for me. Drew, is there anything you'd like to promote out to the world?
I am on the what will be the latest episode of the Chronoso WCW Watch. Me and Jenny and Pete Schermacher reviewing Great American Bash 1986. So check that out on this very North-South Connection feed.
All right, awesome. Tim, I think you covered everything pretty much well. North-South, just follow us on social media, facebook.com/North-South Connection. If you want to give me a little New Year's gift out there, share this feed, share with your friends, go on to Apple or whatever podcast app you use and leave us a rating and a review and just spread the word. And if you are a listener that has not been part of this show or any of our other shows, but you're interested in talking now to an owner, just reach out to us. We'd love to get you on the schedule. Honestly, it's filled up quite a bit, but we can definitely get you in there. We have quite the wait list already set up, at least through the end of the season, Tim. Actually, we're booked up. But we're happy to work in anyone along the way as well.
No shortage of episodes here of 90210, so it's not like you won't get a shot.
Definitely not. All right, let's do our final character ranking before we head on out here tonight. In last place still, with her one episode appearance, Jackie Taylor with 13 points. Napasuccio at 12th with 24 points. Donna Martin up to 36 points.